What's up, guys? Freeman from Team Rec here, bringing you my Sprite deck profile that I took to locals this past weekend. It's actually Adventurer Sprite. Now, I was playing new format Sprite in the old format just because I wanted to get some early testing in. I know Sprite didn't get hit that hard on the most recent Forbidden and Limited list, but I figured I might as well just play for that list since I do plan on going to the NAWCQ, and I want to get as much play testing as I can, so I might as well take advantage of the last weekend of the format while playing a new format deck. So this means things like Mind Hacker were still legal, things like full power super heavy samurai were still legal, and we managed to take this deck there over the weekend. At the Saturday locals, we managed to go undefeated, going 4-0, and then at the Sunday locals, I did take an L to Kashtira, the other member of Team Rec. He was my only loss on the whole weekend, so not too bad. So the Saturday matchups were actually Traptrix, Kashtira, which is the other member of Team Rec. And then we played against Dynamorphia, and then the last round against Super Heavy. And then on Sunday, we played against Labyrinth, Kashtira, which is where the loss was, and then last round, Super Heavy once again. So like I said, the only loss was to one of my two Kashtira matchups. So not too bad overall. I think the deck performed pretty well, so let's get right into it. We'll start with the Sprite cards. 3 blue, 2 jet, 1 red, 1 carrot, and 1 pixies. So I kind of figured since starter went to 2, you might not need as many jets, but I still wanted a decent level 2 like body count, so I decided to play the pixies again. I don't know how well this really performed. I only drew the pixies one time, and I actually misplayed with it, forgetting that you have to actually use its effect on a different level 2 monster. I tried to like use its effect on a token or something, but that certainly does not work. But I figured you aren't as reliant on hard drawing jet to get to your starter now that you have less targets. But I think you could still get away with playing 3 jet and not playing the pixies just because I don't think pixies is that good of a card. But I figured it was worth trying out. To continue on with the Sprite cards, we are of course just playing the 2 starters since it is at 2 now, playing the Gamma Burst and playing the Sprite Double Cross. Did not play Smashers. I actually haven't been playing Smashers for a while, even back when I was playing Melfi Sprite for like the majority of last format. I was not playing Smashers. I just don't think that card is very good at the moment. It's very slow, and you hate to see that card in your opening hand. There's an argument for siding it for when you go second against certain matchups, but I haven't been doing that. Might do that going forward into this format. But these are kind of just the 4. Obviously, starters at 2. I was not playing Gamma Burst for a while, but every time this card's not in my deck, I always want this card to be in my deck because it's just so easy to end the game sometimes. Then Double Cross is great as your end board and your combo as well. Excuse me. So that's it for these Sprite cards. On to the next package of the deck, which is the Adventurer cards. We have the 3 Water Enchantress, Griffin Rider, 2 Right, 1 Fateful, and the 1 Dracoback, of course. This is pretty standard. It's a 41 card deck, I believe, and I figured I want to get a good amount of adventure cards in my hand without breaking on them too much. So I played 3 of the monster and just 2 of the spell, because I figured if I were to draw multiples of something, I'd want it to be the monster, since you can actually use as an extender to go into sprint if you need to. And yeah, drawing multiples of right is just pretty bad. And obviously, you have to play these 3 to kind of go along with the engine. This performed very well. It just kind of puts an extra layer of protection while you're doing your Sprite combos. The next engine of the deck is, of course, the Nimble stuff, which is just 3 Beaver, 2 Angler, and 1 Foolish, which kind of partners well with the Water Enchantress as well. So this is actually my 41st card, but I figured it was worth the slot since you do have 2 good targets. Obviously, this is just good stuff in Sprite. Angler becomes especially good to draw in this deck, surprisingly, because of the Adventurer stuff, being able to send this off of your Faithful Adventurer. And also, I actually really like drawing Angler going second, oddly enough, because you have the Nightmare package in your extra deck, and you can actually just get crazy pluses off of this card. So obviously, this is just good stuff Sprite. We then have our gigantic Sprite target. I actually went with Ibly. So this card was very good for me, especially on the Saturday locals, because no one was expecting it. Going into the Sunday locals, you guys know how it is at locals. Everyone kind of knows what you're playing eventually, especially at a smaller locals like ours, which is like usually like 4 rounds, like 16 or less people. So once people know you're on this, they prepare for it, whether it's with, you know, like main deck stuff or extra deck stuff like Lingaribo. So this is much better when it was a surprise and much worse when it wasn't a surprise, if that makes sense. So this is much better on Saturday. This is probably why I won so many games so easily. On to the kind of just non-engine of the deck, we are playing the 3 Prot of Prosperity just for consistency. I feel like you need that card in Sprite because you want to be able to play every game. On to hand traps and stuff, we have 3 Ash, 3 Nib, 3 Imperm, and then just 2 Talents kind of rounding out the lineup here. These were all very good for me. Every time I drew any one of these cards, they were pretty much always live. Nib actually put in a lot of work. No one respects this at all. And it just kind of wins games for free. And then obviously Ashen Imperm are kind of like my go-to hand traps at the start of a format when I don't really know what the meta is going to be. And they worked well as well. And then obviously Talon's is very good. I don't know if I would ever play 3 of this card just because I hate bricking on this. But when this card's good, it's really good. That's it for the main deck. Let's go on to our extra deck now. We have our token, of course. We went with double Sprind. Now, this would seem standard. So at my Saturday locals, I was actually playing only 1 Sprind and only 1 Zeus, because I just kind of figured that's what I would want to test for a new format. Turns out that it's not very good, because you pretty much cannot interact with a Kashtira Unicorn at all, or they'll rip your one-ofs. So instead of the Sprind and second Zeus, I was actually playing a Dark Charmer and an Avermax, which never came up at all. So going into Sunday, I put in the second one of both Sprind and Zeus. And going forward, honestly, I'd probably keep them both in. Even in the matchups that aren't Kashtira, second Sprind was coming up a lot for me, just because we got into like a grindy game state, and I still had like the Angler Beavers and stuff in the deck. So yeah, the second Sprind is just very good. I think it's going to be staple going forward, even without Mindhacker in the format. Moving off the links, we do have the IP Masquerena. We actually have the Beat Cop, which is part of our combo to put the counter on the Imbly. I can show the combo at the end. We have the Nightmare package to kind of combo along with the IP, as well as just going second. These help break boards, especially if you draw the Nibble Angler. I thought these were all very good. They all came up. I summoned every card in my extra deck. Onto the Exceed monsters, we have double Gigantic Sprite. Don't think you need any more. We have the Downerd double Zeus. This is pretty standard. Like I said, I would keep 2 Zeus in going forward. Onibimaro to deal with some problem cards. We have the Mannequin Cat, and we have the Mosquito. Mosquito put in a lot of work this weekend, just kind of stealing games. Onto the side deck. I was playing a little bit heavier of a Bestial package, just because I knew there was a lot of Branded running around the week before. Like, I think I played against 3 of them the week before, and I wasn't on as many Bestials, but obviously this wasn't very good given my matchups. I sided it in against Labyrinth and it did okay, but every other matchup I played against, it just wasn't that good against, so I might cut this down back to either 3 or 4 Bestials. The best card on my side deck over the weekend was definitely Kurikara. Pretty much tried this thing going second against everything. Against Super Heavy, I attributed like an Appaloosa, a Baron, and a Borload Savage, like this card, and then just like attacked for 6,000. That was crazy. So yeah, this card's very good, especially if Kashtira stays in the format. They can't really play around it. Other kind of go second stuff. 2 Lightning Storm, obviously it's at 2, and the Harpy's Feather Duster. Don't think anyone was really playing 3 Lightning Storm beforehand. This was kind of the standard for a lot of the last format. I'm playing 3 Anti-Spell. This is like my only go first card. I think it's all you really need in your deck. Your deck's already made to go first, so you don't really want to ruin your consistency by adding too much stuff to go first, but I figured this covered a lot of matchups. Obviously still good against Kashtira, especially if Striker and Runic are kind of going to be re-entering the format. Anti-Spell is going to be pretty decent there, as well as just like random decks get slowed down by this. Obviously, like you can even side this in against Super Heavy, and they can't scale their monsters, so it's actually pretty decent. And then 15th card was Red Resonator. I still play this just because I don't want to lose in time, because a lot of people tend to play rather slowly, especially at my locals, so, you know, I really don't want to lose in time. So whenever I didn't have this card, I wanted it. It's kind of a similar case to like Gamma Burst. It would always come up when I didn't have it, so I just want to have it there, and I figured it was worth the slot. So that's going to be it for the deck profile. If you guys would like to see the combo to end on the Nightmare Corruptor Ibbly with the Beat Cop counter, I'm going to go ahead and do that now. It's a pretty consistent combo. I pulled it off almost every game I went first. And I'll even show it with the added benefit of if you draw like a water. Basically all you need is the Water Enchantress, which is kind of optional. This just gives you an extra layer of protection. And then you really just need kind of 2 level 2 bodies without relying on your normal summons. So I'll even just do Beaver just kind of as a blank body. And then we'll just do Blue, for example. So you would obviously start off by, this is your hand up here. You would just banish your Water Enchantress to search for a right. Activate the right, and I am doing this upside down, so I apologize if it's a little bit weird. We'll summon the token there, and then we will activate the Fateful Adventurer directly from the deck. And then you can go ahead and normal summon your Nimble Beaver. And then what I would do from here is I would actually special summon my Sprite Blue, because then you can chain block your Sprite Blue with your Faithful Adventurer. So you can go Chainlink 1 Sprite Blue, Chainlink 2 Faithful Adventurer. So Chainlink 2 will search your Dracoback. Sprite Blue will search for your Sprite Jet. And then from here you can go ahead and search the Griffin Rider, and then send the Dracoback from your hand to the graveyard, and then obviously using its effect to equip itself. And then for your 4th summon, you'd summon Griffin. This way you now have protection. And then from here, you can actually just start comboing. So go ahead and summon Jet. We will grab the Double Cross, as this kind of makes the Ibly end board that much better. It's just that much harder to out. We'll go ahead and link these guys off into a Sprint. Put the Sprint up here. Sprint effect will activate, sending a Nimble Angler to the graveyard, summoning 2 Nimble Beavers. I almost shuffled my deck there, I would have ruined a lot. So yeah, obviously we have the Double Cross in the hand, and then from here I would normally just overlay these 2 into a Gigantic Sprite in defense mode, activate the effect to summon the Nightmare Corruptor Ibly. And then from here you can link off your... You want to link off 2 Dark Monsters for the beat, so if for whatever reason you didn't have an extra extender in the form of Jet, you can link off your Gigantic and it has the same effect, just 1 less monster on your end board. You will link off your Ibly and Jet for your beat cop. Ibly's effect will activate, giving it to your opponent. You can then beat cop, and since you use 2 darks, you then put a counter on the Ibly, so the first time it would be destroyed by battle or card effect, it is not. And then you set your Double Cross, and this is basically your end board. It doesn't seem that good, but keep in mind you still have 2 extra cards in your hand, so you could have more hand traps, you could have like a red or carrot in addition to this. And to be honest with you, they can't really play a whole lot because you have a negate. They can only link summon, and as soon as they normal summon, you can Double Cross, either attach it or put it to your Sprint zone. And this was just good enough every time. They have the option of changing Ibly to attack and attacking into Sprint, but that is why we put the beat counter on the Ibly, so that way it actually doesn't die. And you also have Sprint effect live in case they somehow try to out this, and that way you can actually just bounce something with Sprint's effect. But to be honest, this was just good enough, and more often than not, they're actually just passing back to you. So in the end phase, you can actually just use Double Cross to go ahead and summon your Sprite Blue back from your graveyard to the zone that Sprint points to, and then start getting pluses there. And then on your follow-up turn, you can just OTK them through this because they have nothing set up because Ibly locked them out of the game. Obviously, you side out your Ibly stuff going second, as this is absolutely terrible. But going first, this won me, I would say, every game but 1 that I actually did this, because on the second day against Kashtira, he went ahead and linked this into a Lingaribo, then activated Kashtira Birth with some more extenders and stuff, and he managed to get out of it. But anyone that's not prepared for the Ibly is going to lose to it. So at a bigger event, I would definitely say this is worth playing. And that's going to do it for the deck profile, guys. Be sure to subscribe and like the video, and look forward to some more deck profiles coming up in the new format. See you later.